March 5th. Has everybody had the opportunity to review those? Any comments on those?
I think there are a couple of typos.
I did comment, I noticed under old new business, on the second page, I think it should say there was no new business.
Right, that's one of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else on that, Joe?
I see those for a second, because I'm just too jumpy and everything. Yeah, I guess, that was one that I picked up on. I think there was another typo, but that's probably not going to be material.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of March 5, 2024 as amended.
I make a motion.
I will second that.
Commissioner Delgado? Yes. Commissioner Pasquich?
Yeah.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the Tenants Association.
Okay, we supplied a number of Easter dinners Saturday. I was in here for about 3 hours giving out Easter dinners because they brought us more. So even the people that weren't on my list, I went around to check and see if they wanted dinners. And so all the dinners went. I had about 40 or 50 dinners that I distributed. They came from St. Christine's with the help of United Columbus, giving them donations to help prepare the dinners. I had to change our tenants meeting that was supposed to be Friday. I posted it last Saturday, that our tenants meeting was going to be on Saturday instead of Friday, because I had a doctor's appointment at the time, and I can't miss the doctor's appointment for my leg because it's still open and not healing it. So we're going to have that. We helped Ellie with the coloring of the Easter eggs for the family kids back there. We did that Wednesday. So we all helped. Marilyn and Robin, me, Dawn, we all helped color eggs with the kids and they had a great time. We used Cool Whip. So most of them went home with, Cool Whip? Cool Whip. Most of them went home with colored milk because they were eating as much of the Cool Whip as they were putting on them. But it was a fun afternoon. That's my report.
No, thank you. Appreciate all that you did. That's great. Do any of the tenants have any comments for the meeting? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to the next item, which is the approval of the accounts payables and payments. So there's 2 packages in here for approval. One is page 1 through 8. That's the first one.
Why are they broken up like
that? This is the payment date. It's March. Some of them are February, and then the other one package is for March. Anybody have any questions on the first package, which is pages 1 through 8?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as these things are still kind of a cipher to me, I see in the final column on the right side is something referred to as net check amount. What is the purpose of net check amount? And it's like 47,935 in that first packet. Net check amount, I see net
So
check.
that, if you,
Is that a summary of,
well, I think what they're saying here is that $47,935 and 1 cent is being paid to Quincy Housing Authority. And then there's a total, if you look at page 8, there's a total amount of 50,141.82. So of that 50,141.82, $47,935.01 is being paid to the Quincy Housing Authority. And the remainder is being paid to other entities. And they're broken down by, general ledger accounts. Which
and
is the
we're
column
paying, I'm sorry, we're paying on page 1, the management payments are for December and January, so there's 2 there, right? We're paying 2. We're paying for 2 months.
Correct.
So does that mean that our documented payments for management are like running a month or 2 behind schedule? In terms of our approvals? Okay. Is there a reason why there's a delay like that, or is it just a?
It's just
bureaucratic?
the billing, by the time you get them, we're already a month or 2 behind, depending on when your board meeting falls based on payment. But, yeah, I mean, we are in the process now of billing every month for the management fees, so you'll start to see it monthly.
So it'll fill in
Yes.
the next statement.
Yep.
And on page 2, if I may, Mr. Chairman, there are lots of small items, like we'll say small hardware purchases. And again, the same principle, the net check amount is just the sum of all those small items.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, one item I have a question about on page 3, I'm trying to keep track of these things, is on page 3, there's an item vendor identified as Bay State Sewage Disposal, invoice 84755. It's for $1,032 and change.
Yep.
I assume that's a pump out?
It is. It's actually a pump out for Grace Ryder. The septic system is failing there.
Okay.
So we have to continuously pump the septic system there. Actually, the Board of Health put a requirement that we had to go up and loom it, and we had to put a cap on it, which we've recently done.
The cap?
Yeah, they wanted us to cap it because it was leaking out, so we had to,
Oh, let's see, it was
Yeah.
going out onto the surface.
the system is failing.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Anybody else have any comments, thoughts? We're going to have a motion.
I make a motion, accept the health report, payable report.
May I modify that motion?
Sure.
That modification would be to make a motion to approve the accounts payable to payment number 15738 through, I'm sorry, payment number 15737 through payment
Not really,
Yeah.
that's our match.
15739 was the last number. And then there's some additional payments, so all the payment numbers aren't on there, but for a total amount of $50,141.82.
So moved.
Need a second.
I will gladly second it.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is for the first packet you're
For
talking
the first package.
Okay.
Commissioner Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Passadich,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Daly,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes,
And the second package, pages 1 through 11, for a total amount of $101,587.54. Any questions on that?
A few if I may. I see a lot of entries for NRG business marketing. There's a lot of activity there. And they're all dated March 27.
I think that may be National Grid.
It is the
National Grid.
supplier of electricity.
Okay. Funny way to write electric bill, business marketing. And there's one particular item, Mr. Chairman, that's on page 7 of that packet. It's about 3/4 of the way down, and it's vendor Bridgewater Pump Incorporated. And I see the address 135 Main. I see,
It's Grace Ryder.
that's Grace Ryder,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 1845 and 1845. Is that a duplicate, or is that two payments, or
It looks like it was pumped out
Two
on...
different months.
two pump outs?
It looks like it was pumped out on January 24th, and it was pumped out again on February 2nd.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
I've asked them to try to put notes so that you could try to
No, that was
decipher what some
great.
of it is, but
Yeah, some of it I can decipher.
It helped
you
me
gotta
decipher
be
it as
careful what you
well.
ask for, because now that you're getting more information, it's more complicated
No,
to
but it's
figure out.
good.
But,
It is more, to me, this was more complicated
yes,
to read.
yes, as we start adding columns, it's gonna get more complicated as we go.
I actually found it more informative, like the 2
Yep.
months. Can I ask a question, if I may, Mr. Chairman? Item number 15744 on page 3. What is the chem search fee or FE for? It's not a large amount? Well, 300.
That's for the air fresheners.
This one.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, could you say that
The
again?
air fresheners, it's a special air freshener that lingers longer than normal. And they've been spraying in the hallways and stuff.
It's like for cleaning the common areas.
Got it, thank you. I couldn't figure it out. Thank you.
And if I may, on another item, Mr. Chairman, it's on page 3 also. It's for the Grasshopper, ABC Equipment Company, diesel Grasshopper, $22,051. Could you refresh my memory, what was the story with the
So
Grasshopper?
that's the
It was-
diesel Grasshopper that was left in our
Right.
garage for like 10 years.
Right.
And then we took it out and we brought it back to life.
Okay,
And I think it's 2,000, not 22,000.
Yeah. it's
2051, yeah, I wasn't sure, I thought we had already resolved that at the last meeting.
No, I told you about it at the last meeting, but now we're paying for it.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, we commented that it was, the grasshoppers normally
It's like
$25,000?
$20,000.
20,000, and it only costs us 2,500
Yeah.
to get it refurbished.
Do they have to change any of the components on it? Like,
Oh, yeah,
what is it, like a four-cylinder engine or what?
it's a diesel.
It's a diesel.
Mhm.
It's a monster.
It needed pretty much everything. I
Okay.
mean, it's been sitting for 10 years, I mean, like any motor that sits for that long, it's gonna basically need everything to be refurbished.
Well, that's all I need.
Anybody else have any other questions on this?
I'll make a motion to accept the accounts payable payment number 15741 to 15760 for a total of $101,587.54.
Wait a second.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Donkezello?
Yes.
Commissioner Passadich?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the open meeting and conduct a public hearing of the Marshfield Housing Authority fiscal year 2024 annual plan, which includes the fiscal year 25 capital improvement plan. I know there's representatives from the Tenants Association here. There's also representatives or individuals from T-Rock. Are there any individuals from Grace Rider here? Okay, thank you. And are there any individuals from the public here? I didn't see any. Thank you.
So we open it up for
And then-
comments.
James, do you want to lead this?
Typically, you'd open the meeting for comments, Mr. Chairman.
So I know when I went through this,
From Mr. Chairman, typically when you have a public hearing, you read the announcement of the public hearing.
Right.
And then there has to be some sort of a motion.
so I will read this. Here's the notice of public hearing. Marshfield Housing Authority invites all tenants and the general public to a review of the authority's proposed annual plan for fiscal year 2025. The annual plan is intended to provide insight into the authority's operations and plans for the coming fiscal year as they affect the authority's state-aided public housing. The proposed annual plan is comprised of the following elements. Number one, proposed capital improvement plan, 5-year. 2, proposed maintenance and repair plan. 3, current operating budget. 4, responses to the performance management review findings. 5, listing of housing authority policies. 6, list of waivers from governing regulations of the Department of Housing and Community Development. And 7, other elements. And residents and the general public are invited to review the annual plan before the hearing and may submit public comments as noted below. The authority shall consider the concerns of any local tenants or organization regarding needs and priorities and incorporate some or all of such needs and priorities in the draft plan if deemed by the authority to be consistent with sound management. Substantial comments will be summarized and included in the annual plan when it is submitted to the EOHLC. Copies of the annual plan are available at the authority's office or may be reviewed online at our website. Comments may be submitted orally at the hearing by emailing the Housing Authority office or by submitting written comments at the Housing Authority office. This is important though. Comments must be received no later than the close of the public hearing, which is today at whatever time we end the meeting. For reasonable accommodation request, contact the Housing Authority by March 18th. Did we receive any requests? We did not. And then you could contact for information, you could contact us here at T-Rock Gardens.
And we did not receive any emails or any calls or anything.
I'm sorry, say that again.
We have not received any email comments or any written comments at the Housing Authority.
Okay, thank you. And then this public notice of public hearing was provided in Spanish. A Khmer, that's the way you say it, hearing notice, a Vietnamese hearing notice, a Chinese hearing notice, a Portuguese hearing notice, a Russian hearing notice, and a Haitian hearing notice. Any questions or comments on what I just stated?
Yeah, I have a question. Could I have a, and typically when you have a public hearing, you have to also make a note of where and when the notice was posted.
All right, so that's
Who said it?
a separate section, I believe, in here. We'll go through that. So the next thing is the Marshfield Housing Proposed Annual Plan for Fiscal Year 2025 for state-aided public housing. And the annual plan is a document compiled by the Housing Authority staff in advance of each new fiscal year. The plan serves as both a tool for the local housing authority to reflect upon the prior fiscal year and as an opportunity to develop a clear and transparent plan that builds on successes, identifies needs, and corrects any issues that have arisen in prior years. Additionally, the annual plan is an important tool for tenants who may use the document to better understand the operations and needs of the housing authority, advocate for changes to policies and procedures, access data about the housing authority, and participate in the housing authority's governance, which is really important. And that's why we always invite you to our monthly meetings and do want your participation, your comments, your thoughts, and any concerns that you do have. In addition to the physical document, the annual plan is also a process of public engagement. Throughout the annual plan process, the LHA executive director or the designee will be expected to review the plan with any local tenant organization before the LHA presents the plan to the LHA Board of Commissioners. Make a draft available for review to all residents and the general public, post on the website, and make a copy available to each LTO at least 30 business days before the public hearing. Hold a hearing on the document and collect, integrate, and report back on substantive comments. Additionally, the board will read, offer recommendations, and approve the annual plan in advance of its submission to the DHCD. So I do have to ask the board, did each of you have an opportunity to read the plan?
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Went through it as best as I could and followed. It's difficult to follow, but so maybe we'll have some discussion.
Okay, thank you. The law that mandates the annual plan is an act relative to the local housing authorities, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 121B, Section 28A. The regulation that expands upon Section 28 is 760 CMR 4.16. The regulations that address local tenant organizations in the annual plan are 760 CMR 6.09 parentheses 3, parentheses H, and 760 CMR 6.09, parentheses 4, parentheses A, parentheses 4. The Marshfield Housing Authority's annual plan for the 2025 fiscal year includes the following components. Overview and certification is number 1. Number 2 is capital improvement plan. 3 is the maintenance and repair plan. 4 is the operating budget. 5 is the narrative responses to performance management review findings. 6 is policies. 7 is waivers. 8 is the glossary. 9 is other elements, which include A, cover sheet for tenant satisfaction surveys. B, tenant satisfaction survey 667 program. C, performance management review. D, substantive comments from the local tenant organization review meeting on 1/30/24. Any comments or thoughts on any of that?
I do have a comment on something previously stated, and that was the pumping out at Grace Ryder. And I'm wondering whether or not there were any tests done to find out how far the leaching of the sewerage had gone towards the building.
We have an engineer on the project, and the project is being reviewed frequently by the engineer that's designing the new system. So they're aware of what's happening, and they're aware of the corrective measures that we're taking. And it's being advised by an engineering company. So, yes, they're aware, they've done test bits, and they're aware of what they're doing.
We're new there, so I don't want to make waves, but I'm just asking.
Yeah, their staff on board working on the,
And you're not making waves. We do want you to ask questions, and hopefully we can respond accordingly. You're welcome.
And welcome.
So page 2 of 4 on the MHA proposed annual plan for fiscal year 2025. I'm not going to read through all this. I believe you've all seen that. On page 3 of 4, it lists the LHA Board of Commissioners, and it lists the local tenant organizations, and it indicates that the date that the LHA reviewed the draft annual plan with the LTO was on March 3rd, 2023. And then under plan history, I just have a couple of questions on that. So under the requirement, it does say that we need to advertise the public hearing on the LHA website, but we didn't put a date completed on that. On either A, B, or C, we didn't put completed dates in there, so I think we need to fill those dates in.
And that would be,
Or we can just get an acknowledgement that it was placed.
it was placed.
It was placed.
Yeah,
And it
advertised.
was well within
Just-
the 45
Yeah,
days.
just before we submit it.
yeah, we can have the dates put on there.
Right. And then, so that was A, B, C, D, we'll fill in. E says that we hold a quarterly meeting with the LTO to review the draft AP, and it must occur before the LHA board reviews the annual plan. That was done on 1/30/2024. And F is actually happening right now, the annual plan hearing, hosted by the LHA board with a quorum of members present, which we have a quorum. And then G, the executive director will present the annual plan to the board. And then H, the board votes to approve the annual plan. And then we go to page 1 of 4 on the capital improvement plan. Did you want me to continue to read any of this, or would you like to?
I don't think you need to, unless somebody has any questions.
We do
Just to go over this, this is an annual plan that's filed every year. It contains your capital improvement plan, which, as I've explained a number of times, is a moving target. These are forecasts, so these aren't guarantees. These are projections. This is what we expect to happen, and then the unknown happens, and then this changes, and then we do plan modifications to adjust the plan to what incidents happen between now and then. So this is really a forecast of what we anticipate.
All right. And if I understand correctly, EOHLC funds us for the first 3 years,
That's correct.
and the last 2 years of the 5-year plan are estimates that we put in there.
It's all estimates.
It's all an estimate, really. But the final 2 years will be brought forth. So in 2025, year 4 will be
We'll move up,
brought
yeah.
forth into the 3 years.
That's correct. So you can typically only spend into the 3 years. You can't spend beyond that until the new bond is awarded. and then those later years will get funded. But that's when monthly we bring those motions to you to award, to adding on to the capital improvement plan. That's when those awards are made that fund the outer years.
And that's why we update this on an annual basis, so that we're always projecting 5 years out,
Correct.
with the most current 3 years coming, which are actually funded then.
Correct.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to, for clarity's sake, you had mentioned under the local tenant organization section on page 3 or 4 of that, date LHA review draft annual plan with LTO, March 3rd, 2023. That was last year's plan. If you read the date under item E, that was the date that we reviewed it with the LTO for this plan. Just to make that clarification.
The 1/30/24.
Yeah, it's not, unfortunately, this is a software system, EOHLC software system, and they don't, I'm gonna make the recommendation, and they make that a little bit more clear, that that date was last year's.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're welcome. Excuse me, who's speaking?
Oh, sorry, I'm Rick Brulard, Director of Modernization for Quincy and Marshfield Housing Authority.
Thank you, Rick.
You're welcome.
All right, so do we have any questions on page 1 of 4 of the capital improvement plan? Well, if, as you're looking through it, I'll just make one comment that on page 2 of 4, the second one down, says LHA Emergency Reserve. And that's basically automatically put in there at 10% of the balance of the formula funding. And then also at the bottom of page 2 of 4, you'll notice that the allocation that EOHLC has given us is $2,164,483.41, and where our planned spending is $2,203,353.09 for a differential of a plus $38,869.68 that we plan to spend over our allocation. So, you know, the key to this capital improvement plan on page 1 of 6 is that it basically indicates what our priorities are for the next 3 years. And it also indicates, you know, how much we're going to spend on each one of those. So if anybody has any questions as to why we put these in here, as to what, you know, priority they are, you know, so basically you have to address fire safety hazards. You have to address, I know it's in here, I could read it to you later, but there are key emergency situations that you want to address as priorities, and you want to address those as quickly as possible. So anything that you really feel is a safety hazard, you know, we want to address now and have in the capital improvement plan and perform those projects as quickly as possible. So if there's anything you feel that is not in this plan, that should be in this plan because of, you know, hazardous events, please let us know. And you have to let us know before the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Sorry, I just have a question about that. And that is there a plan, a I'm not sure how it works here at T-Rock, but at Grace Rider, for an emergency, if there were a test for people to get out of the building in time and be accounted for if there was an emergency.
A fire drill?
Yes.
sorts?
We haven't conducted any fire drills in the past. I mean, if there is a, desire to do so, we call the fire department and ask them to do an exit. All the units there have, means of egress. So certainly have the fire department go up there and train them how to get out if there's a question.
I think it's a good concept, to have a fire drill. I know my wife's a teacher in public schools, and, they have to have fire drills all the time. I think it's once a month or so. Go through a fire evacuation. So yes, I agree.
If the tenants could know somewhat and then be prepared, and just for the first couple times to get them acquainted with it.
Sure. Thank you.
I think it would be actually good for the fire department to be familiar with the inner workings of Grace Rider as well.
Oh,
for
they
their
are.
own-
They
Oh,
are.
they are? Well, I'm sure they go in, yes.
You're very familiar.
Well, you're correct. But I'm thinking in an emergency
Mhm.
situation, it would be good. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're right.
Me?
Yes. And I'm sorry, just each time you speak, if you could identify yourself,
Oh,
please?
I'm Lynn Basie. I live here, 13. And that's when you mentioned safety. On my driver's side and my passenger side are huge puddles. And then in the winter, the puddles freeze, and I can't go to my car. My question is, when they tar, are they going to level?
Yes.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Any other thoughts?
My question is, explain again why the Grace Rider septic work is not in this capital plan.
It is.
Where is it?
It's actually a grant. There was a grant for septic work. So it's
Yeah, I did see it in there, Joe.
it's in there. It may be tied to the septic for T-Rock Gardens, because it was one grant.
James, if I may.
Yeah, yeah,
It was originally part of the T-Rock project, they had combined them. But
Right.
then we split them, and it has its own project number, but it should be in here, Commissioner Page.
Page 2.
Page 2.
it is. It's on the bottom of page 2.
Okay.
It's project number 171125.
Yes.
It's on page 2,
Very last item.
the very last item on the plan.
We are actually waiting on design review from EOHLC on that.
But the dollar amounts on that row are zero across,
That's because it's an award, it's funded out of their,
because it's an award.
it's a separate award, yeah, it was funded out of their septic program, their initiative.
It's not coming out of your capital
Right.
funding, so the amount's showing 0 on the plan because they're funding it through a grant.
But the T-Rock Garden tie-in is not being funded through a grant?
That too is being funded through a grant.
But that number is given here as like $673,000.
It's probably because that system's already been designed and it's already been bid, and there's an award made to complete that job. Grace Rider is in its infancy stages, it's in its planning stages. So we don't have an amount yet, and we don't have an approved plan either. So it's in design right now. This project's in construction, so it's fully funded right now.
But on the Grace Rider, there's already been discussion of appropriations. I'm thinking like over $230,000.
I'm sure the appropriation is out there, but we don't have a fixed amount yet. The project hasn't been bid, it hasn't even been finished being designed yet.
But those were payments for design work because it was determined that the system was failing, and then there was additional complications identified. So like, I'm off the top of my head remembering the number on 230.
So that's a
already
project,
spent.
that's a project estimate. No money's been spent. No money has been spent yet because we haven't done anything. So that's a project estimate, which is put on the project when EOHLC does a work order for what they expect to do for a project. They put a number on the project based on their experience, based on past history. They put an estimate of what they think the value of that job is going to be. So when they hire a designer, they already have an estimate of kind of where they think the cost is going to fall for that system. It's not in here because we haven't got through the design phase yet, and it hasn't gone out to bid yet, so we're not there yet. On T-Rock, we are there. It's been designed, it's been awarded, the contract's been issued, notice of proceed is issued, and the project is fully funded and ready to start. In actuality, we're starting Monday.
Yeah, well, right, and actually that's what I was just about to say, is the last time I checked with Board of Health in DPW, they were just like waiting for the shovels to show up, basically. On the other funding columns that are on this 6-page packet of CIPs, it says other funding. And it looks like there could be a useful column to help me understand like grant monies or projected expenses and stuff like that.
I think if you look under project, so if you look under project, like example, T-Rock Gardens, for the Federal Pacific replacement, that was also an award. So it says ARPA targeted award, and then it has the amount, and the amount is out in FY 2025 plan.
Right.
That shows you that that's an award, that's a grant. That's not part of your capital funding.
Right. So there is nothing set yet in terms of Grace Rider.
No, the design's not done yet.
It's frustrating because I see constant expenditures for pump outs, and we already have a breakout occurring on the surface.
That's been capped, that's been resolved
Yeah.
to the Board of Health. They're satisfied.
Where's the wastewater going?
So here's the problem, Joe, is there are laws that we have to follow on procurement, and we have to follow design laws, and we have to follow design standards. So we can't just hire someone to do work. We have to have EOHLC do a work order. They select the designer based on the house doctor program. They award it to the designer. We bring it to you. You award it to the designer. It goes to the designer. After they design the system, EOHLC has to sign off on that design. Then it comes to you. Then it goes out to bid. Then it has to be awarded to the lowest bidder. So it's not like you own a house and your septic system fails and you pick up the phone and call someone and get the septic system done. We're kind of at the mercy of EOHLC and their design standards and the way that they delegate this work to be done by a designer. So we probably have 50 projects in the pipeline waiting for EOHLC for either their design or for them to pick a designer. So it's not the housing authority that's slowing this down. It's the state and it's the process.
The bigger the project, the longer they have in that button, the more hoops.
That's right.
And this is a big one.
But it's not really up to us. We're at their mercy. So we've sent many emails telling them the importance of this project, and they understand where we're at. They understand what we're doing. They understand what's being done to remediate the situation. Everybody is aware of what's going on here.
There's another project that has been talked about, and that is lighting concerns. The residents have concerns about lighting around.
I believe it's in the plan.
Can you tell me where it is? Did I miss it?
It's on, looks like page 3 of 6. Exterior security lighting, 6671.
Exterior security, $10,000.
Yep.
We've got it out in fiscal '26, and that's just because of the balance of what we had for bond cap in the software.
You say you couldn't fit it into fiscal '25?
Yeah, it can be moved, you know, so if that's more of a concern, we can look at it, we can move it forward. It can always also be moved forward after the plan is approved, that we can do a revision to the capital plan. There's a process through the software.
So as we said earlier, this is a moving document. This allocates the money that they're giving us, this projects what we're going to do. The spending could come in less, we could move more projects forward, the spending could come in more. We have to kick projects out to outer years, based on what we believe the priorities are. That's how the plan is established.
If I remember correctly, we discussed that either last meeting or the meeting prior to that, and we decided to leave it in 2026 at that time.
And why? Why would you want to do that?
Excuse me?
Why would you want to leave it in 2026?
Because we thought that there were other priorities for 2025.
Well, $10,000 is not a big
I understand, but I think we decided to leave it in, and then, I mean, if we wanted to.
We've also fixed all the exterior lighting here, so all the exterior lighting is now working, which was not working before, so.
My recommendation would be we leave it as is for now, and if we want to bring it up again, we do it at a future meeting.
Maybe we put it at the top of the list if something else comes in under budget.
Sure.
Or another project, because that one would be
Yep.
one of the first ones to come back.
Just heard a lot of concern about it. And it seems to be kind of, should be getting done.
You only have so much money to spend, and this year alone, you have generators going in here, generators going to Grace Rider. You have the switching of all the electrical gear here, the switching of the electrical gear at Grace Rider. You have a new septic, you have the new tie-ins for all the buildings for the septic here. You have the new tie-in, the new septic system being designed for T-Rup for Grace Rider. And we still are working on 305 Webster Street, which had the tree go through it.
And tiring.
So we've got our hands full. There's a lot of work going on here for a very, very small agency and a ton of money being spent.
Right. Money is one part of it, but also bandwidth is the other part of it.
A couple other things to make. With regards to 305 Webster, that was in the pipeline for siding and roofing work, and then the storm happened.
That's right.
So isn't the insurance company,
They're not doing all of the work, no.
how much are they covering?
Well, we're waiting to see what they cover and what we're gonna be responsible for. And then whatever's left that still needs to be done on the house is gonna be using that project that has that money allocated to it. Things like the bulkheads rotted, back decks rotted, they're only doing half the roof, the other half of the roof still needs to be done. There's still, just because the tree hit the roof, they're not gonna renovate the whole house. The insurance company's only gonna fix what was damaged, and that's it.
But at the same time, if you're fixing half the roof,
But
it's
they
a good
won't-
chance to do the whole roof with
they
the
won't.
money we already appropriated.
Yeah, they won't, the project is being run by EOHLC because it was a damage and they use their own contractor. So they are only going to do what was damaged. That's their policy. That's how they run their risk program. Because they're self-insured, they run their program very strictly on what they do and what they allow.
One other thing, on page 3, cupola repair, it's the last item on the page. We've talked about this. I suggested we go through the town CPC to try to get money for that, because it is technically like a historical asset in town. So we have a number here of 52,938. Could you tell me a little bit about where that came from and where it's planned to come from?
So that's a projection, Joe and Mr. Chairman, that's a projection of what we expect the expense to be. If you remember, I've been saying for the last 2 years that we should go to CPC, and I thought that this would be an appropriate project for CPC. Problem is, we just got awarded from CPC for the generators, so obviously it's on our, it's on our radar to go back before CPC to ask for the money to do the cupola, but that would have to be our next ask.
All right. And that will occur, I think the application has to be in by, it's either September or October of 2024.
And Rick and I have already talked about it, and we have it on our radar.
I'd like to see a summary at some point as to how much has been spent actually so far, allocated and spent on the Grace Rider septic stuff, because I've seen that item pop up on several agendas, and it appeared to me like a lot of money has already been laid out for design work and evaluation work. I'd like some kind of tracking on that.
Sure.
Seems like we spent over 200,000 already on it. And
Yeah, no, we haven't spent that, not nearly that. I think you're referring to the estimate that EOHLC put on the project. But the project hasn't been done yet, so there's no way that we've spent $200,000.
who's the design firm? Do you remember?
Rick, the designer on that is,
GCG Associates. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Commissioner Pesovich, you looking for a summary of the capital outlay so far?
Yeah.
On that project? Okay.
well, you gotta remember, they're also the designer on this project.
Yeah, and
So you've paid them the design fee for this project.
and it's just not clear to me how it's broken out, because I've seen that keep popping up on our expenditures, and I'm wondering, like, and now the way you describe the bureaucracy and the red tape, it's like, sounds like we're 2 years out.
Yeah, you
It
probably,
doesn't sound right, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, if I could somehow just see a
I
breakdown.
can provide that, James.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
I'm all set on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the next item is the capital improvement plan narrative. And there's page 1 of 3 on that with 14 items on the 3 pages. I had a question on number 13. I think we just missed a word or something. It says, Marshfield Housing Authority is currently pursuing energy or water saving audits or grants as no MHA successfully applied for, received, and implemented. Is that what we should be saying, or should that be modified?
Rick, did you hear that?
Repeat that, please?
On energy or water saving initiatives,
Yes.
we state Marshfield Housing Authority is currently pursuing energy or water saving audits or grants as no MHA.
Oh, yeah, it's cut off.
Page 1.
Page 3.
I'm not sure when it's cut off. Could be the printer, could be a margin thing.
So what should it say?
You want me to look that up on the software? I can.
I think, because,
Yeah, what should it say, I guess?
yeah, I think it should probably say something to the extent Marshfield Housing Authority is currently pursuing energy or water saving audits or grants.
Looks like something outside the
And-
margin.
And maybe MHA successfully applied for, received, and implemented
Right.
113 units of air sealing measures, adding, I'm not sure what that is either, at an additional cost of 170,000?
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
That's right.
I think you're right, there is a typo in there somewhere.
So if we just correct that.
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate that. And then on item 14, I wrote the word great, 0 vacancy, so that's nice to see.
Yeah.
Huge.
Anything else on page 1 through 3?
Would this be the section where there should be some statement made with regards to some broad issue-related topics like increasing affordable housing or finding conversion projects? Where would that fit in?
That,
It doesn't. The housing authority can't find projects and can't do projects and can't create new housing. I think we've gone over this several times.
Well, we had a discussion about it, and there is a kind of a circuitous, complicated route to go through. It's not
It would be,
prohibited.
well, it is prohibited. It's
How?
actually prohibited by law, but it would be a nonprofit entity created by the housing authority in order to do that. And we don't even have a nonprofit entity, so we wouldn't be putting that in our annual plan.
I think part of this may be addressed through the Marshfield Municipal Housing Trust,
What will be addressed?
the need for additional affordable housing in the town of Marshfield.
Well, yeah, the Affordable Housing Trust can play a role in that.
And being able to renovate properties, the housing authority has no ability to do such projects.
But we have.
We don't.
But it has been done.
Where?
Where did you get the 13 individual units?
What 13 units?
Oh,
Family
Webster Street,
units.
6.
Ocean Street.
Scattered sites.
10 individual.
Yeah, that was when the Faircloth number was set for the Marshfield Housing Authority. That number is set. You cannot exceed that number. We have no ability to grow the Marshfield Housing Authority.
The Marshfield Housing Authority is the managing company.
The only way you could grow that is through a nonprofit, which I explained already. The idea that the housing authority can go out and renovate houses or purchase houses or it's not possible. It's regulated by the law. So, and that would definitely not be in your annual plan.
Well, it is in our statutory authority to do stuff like that. And it's never been explained to my satisfaction how we can't find a way to do that and work cooperatively with the Housing Trust Fund.
I would suggest that you reach out to EOHLC and let them explain to you the reasons why the housing authority can't, because I've explained to the best of my ability.
Is that based on the population of the town? Or
No,
is it
it's based on a number that the state allows for the number of units of state public housing within the community, and we are at our maximum number.
The reason, I shouldn't say the reason, one of the reasons that the state does not want to build additional affordable housing through a housing authority is because they don't have the budget for that, to maintain those. So they don't have enough money right now in the budget to maintain what we
Well, we already have.
So if we built additional ones, they'd have to find more money to do that. So there are other ways to build affordable housing, and the state is working with the towns in order to accomplish that.
That's correct.
And that's one of the reasons the town of Marshfield went from a Marshfield Housing Partnership Committee to a Marshfield Municipal Housing Trust, so that we could find more ways to develop affordable housing within the town.
DHCD actually gave away 5,000 units because they can't afford them. They can't fund them. They can't fund the capital needs. They can't fund the future capital needs. They can't take care of the portfolio that already exists. They have no interest in making that portfolio larger. In fact, they want to shrink it. So it's not happening.
All right. Next section is the annual plan 2025 maintenance and repair plan. Is pages 1 through 6 on this.
Section 3.1.
Section 3.1. Thank you, John. I do have a question on page 4 of 6. I think we should be, on page 4 of 6, there's a work order classification used. I think we should be putting a check mark in each one of those boxes, but I'm not positive. Yeah,
I believe
because
you're
I think
right.
that's what we use, right?
I believe you're right, Mr. Chair, and I'm not sure why they don't exist, because it would have been me putting those checks in those boxes. So, we do have an emergency work order process. We do have a work order process for vacancy, for preventative maintenance, for routine, for inspections. We recently upgraded to that put Marshfield as well as the other managed authorities on the HAB system. So that HAB system is a work order process system. So I will definitely make sure that that gets taken care of for the copy that gets submitted to EOHLC.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for Rich Berlad, please. My name is Sandra Murphy. I want to talk to you about the generators. They were supposed to be starting in April. I think with all the stuff that's going on out there, it's going to be put back or something, or?
No, it's EOHLC's reviewing the final design on that. So I'm expecting, I'm pushing them. They're short-handed up there too, so we're struggling with, I think everybody's struggling with resources. But that final design review, I'm expecting within a couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
And should there be no issues with the final design, it'll move into bidding. So, I think we're probably a couple months off, but I think both facilities by fall will have generators.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I don't really see an issue.
And another thing, about the refrigerators. Is there anything new
I'm
about
going to
the
be
new
giving
refrigerators?
I'm going to be giving an update on that tonight.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Just one other question, Rick, on page 5 of 6, I'm sorry, 6 of 6.
Yes.
It's item D, is in David. Under the current fiscal year budget, we have 0 in there. The third line down in the first block.
Right, I see that. I'm guessing that EOHLC had not approved the budget yet when I submitted this, when I logged this draft in for posting. I'm guessing it just wasn't there yet. They hadn't published that. When I go in to make these changes and get ready to submit it, there's a function in the software that I run, and it updates all of the operating data. So if that budget has been approved, and I think it has changed, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, that'll get pulled in, and it will be in here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions on?
Just a quick question on in that section, the actual is higher than the budget for last fiscal year, but on regular maintenance, but on extraordinary maintenance, the actual is much lower. Do those lines get combined and,
Sort of.
Okay, so that one offsets the other.
Any other questions on this section?
Yeah, on page 5 and on some other places, there's a reference to HAB's management software. Could you, what is HAB management software?
That's the HAB management software. That's what we just switched the housing authority to, or the process of switching the housing authority to a new management software system. We've been working on that now for about a year and a half.
And who's in charge of this review of projects and the effect on maintenance? Is that Mr. Brulad?
I'm not sure what.
There's a reference at the bottom of page 5 to improve efficiency and work more closely with modernization. I think I've seen the term modernization next to your name.
Yep, yeah.
And I'm just, you've said it already.
James, you want me to?
Yeah, sure. Go right
What
ahead.
is that?
No, I mean,
It sounds cool.
I wrote this. To improve efficiency and work more closely with modernization in reviewing how projects affect maintenance. So we have we have James who runs basically the maintenance shop every morning down there in conjunction with our maintenance foreman, Mark Kennedy. So Mark and I work hand in hand. You know, as you know, in many facilities, the facilities manager's always complaining that the guys on the construction side don't include them. So that's what that statement is meant to convey. Myself, the modernization department, working more closely, more in tune. Now that we have the HAB software, it's going to make things a little bit easier because we have some reporting functionality in that software. So it's going to make it easier for me to work with the maintenance department. And that, I think, is going to help them, you know, help them help me, essentially.
So there's like a feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're constantly communicating. Sometimes it's, you know, it gets overwhelming, you know, with the amount of work we have going on. So I think we just need to, it's always room for opportunity to make sure that all the capital projects we do take into consideration the maintenance needs. I'm not saying we don't, but I'm just saying there's always opportunity for improvement there.
So basically, you want to combine reactive maintenance with proactive or, you know, ongoing projects, so there's no conflict, inefficiency.
Anything else on that section?
Yeah, just what is it, extraordinary maintenance budget, what is that? On page 6, top of page 6, it's called an extraordinary.
Yeah, it's broken down into regular and extraordinary.
That's what you were asking, John, right? Yeah.
I think you just,
So you want a
what is that?
definition of extraordinary?
Yeah, say it again.
Rick, could you address that, please?
The extraordinary maintenance occurs in the operating budget. They have a line for extraordinary maintenance items. Many times, those items turn into capital projects if they get deferred and they don't get addressed by the maintenance, you know, the housing authority maintenance staff. You know, they get deferred, they become larger, worse off, they turn into a capital project. So it's really just maintenance items that obviously aren't routine.
And not expected.
Right.
So you could use a vacancy as a perfect example. Tenant moves out of a vacant unit, we expect that to be a routine turnover. We expect that to be routine maintenance costs. Tenant's been there for 20 years, unit needs a new bathroom, needs a new kitchen, needs new flooring, that would be extraordinary maintenance. Something we didn't expect, something we didn't know about, something that came upon us. So that would fall under extraordinary maintenance.
Thank you. Anything else on that section? Seeing none, the next section is the preventive maintenance monthly program. And we've been presented with January through December preventive maintenance tasks that have been accomplished. Any questions on that section?
I think it's great.
Seeing none, the next one is the Marshfield Housing Authority statement that we currently do not have any deferred work orders.
And just backing up on the preventative maintenance, there's the cleaning of parking lots, driveways, walkways, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're not doing that because of the paving project.
Oh, here
Yeah,
at T-Rock,
yeah.
I see them weekly.
No, I think what he's saying is,
Permanently?
yeah, he's suggesting that we need to make sure that we halt doing that.
Yeah, no, we
Parking
still
lot
do
work
it, we
is
still
going
pick
on.
up the ground and
Sorry.
walk the
Yes, I
walkways every
apologize.
day.
I'm new.
Check the parking lots every day, and we still do that all the time. I mean, even though we're going into construction, we still have to make sure the premises are clean.
I'm sorry?
I'm Leanne.
Leanne?
I live in one of the family units.
Oh, cool.
I rarely get out.
Really?
I have an autistic son.
I see
You
you.
rarely yell? What'd you say? You rarely yell?
I rarely get out.
Is this a night out for you?
Oh, this is a night out. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I have an autistic son, so I very much appreciate everything and in my community. So
Great.
Well, we hope that you get out more
I had
often.
to print out some to follow along. And I don't get out at all. This is my first outing.
How long you been here? May I ask?
I've lived here since last June.
So
And I
you're
love
not that new, Leanne.
I'm super appreciative.
Sorry, I don't mean to delve into your situation.
Anything else on that?
Sorry.
All right, we're on to the annual plan 2025, annual operating budget, section 4.1, page 1 of 5. And if you look on page 2 of 5, the approved revenue budget, total revenue, account number 3,000 was $753,822. And the 2023 actual amounts received was $764,398. So we had excess revenue received. And then if you go to page 5 of 5, it shows total revenue, total expenses, and we exceeded the budget on the expenses. So the total net income, we actually had a deficit of $5,226. Any questions on that section? Seeing none, I'll move on to the next one. Is our annual plan operating budget. That's the explanation of budget accounts 1 through 7. And I highlighted on page 3 of 7, compensation to authority members. Since we don't have a Chapter 200 development, we, as commissioners, do not get compensated, except for having everybody here in attendance and having a good evening.
A night out.
And then also under 4191, the tenant organization, LTO, they do have to request funds from us. But upon that request, we shall fund the LTO at an annual rate of $6 per state-aided public housing unit, occupied or available for occupancy by the residents, or an annual total of $500, prorated, and we only have one LTO, so it goes to the one LTO. And so whether it's $500, if that's more than the $6 per state-aided public housing unit, we give them the 5. If we get more at the $6 rate, then we fund at the $6 rate per housing unit. So we have 113 units, if I remember right. So that would be $678, I think.
So it's 500 cap.
So we can fund up to that amount.
Grace, no,
Doesn't it?
Grace Fiber, it's not part of the LTO.
Oh, so we have to subtract those
We
units?
have to subtract those units.
Okay.
So, I think your budget this year was 536.
Yeah,
Or 500.
out back also.
Yep, the family units here are included, but not the, not Grace Fiber, not the standard sites.
So,
Got last year, I have to look at.
so Helen, do I remember correctly, you asked Grace Ryder if they want to be part of the LTO, or did you suggest to them that they form?
I didn't start the LTO, so I don't know if they were asked. I just became president last year.
I believe when the LTO started, There was a discussion about who.
I was present for those
Yes.
discussions. They
Yes.
decided to have it just T-Rock Gardens.
And
What would be the benefit of,
Say that again?
what would be the benefit of Grace Rider being inclusive?
Well, here we do different activities, like I have bingo twice a month, at our meetings. At bingo, we have coffee and donuts, and it's just a small bingo, but I do it twice a month. And
It's being inclusive, so.
yeah, and we have other functions that we do.
Lots of stuff.
So I think if you're interested in considering this, you should probably meet with Helen and her other LTO reps and have a discussion as to, should there be separate LTOs? Should there be one LTO? And, how does it, if you created your own, you would get funded at $6 per unit. Would that be enough to fund whatever activities you wanted to do?
For a year.
And it would be a night out.
Well, I mean, we talk about providing transportation from here to there. I mean, we should provide a way for them to be included in whatever's going on.
That would be an LTO's decision.
So just FYI, we are going to have our June meeting, Board of Commissioners meeting over at Grace Rider. Any other comments on this section? Next section is the narrative responses to the PMR, which is the Performance Management Review. I think we've gone over these at previous meetings. But if anybody has any additional comments they'd like to make, please let me know. Hearing none, we'll go to the next section, which is the policies at the Marshfield Housing Authority. And, we have discussed these at previous board meetings. We said that if any commissioner wishes to bring up a particular policy, that they let us know in advance and we'll put it on the agenda. Any other thoughts on policies? That may be coming up, I'm sure. Explanation, yeah, coming up later. Next section is the waivers. And we state that the MHA has no current waivers from the regulations of the EOHLC. Any comments on that?
What's a waiver?
What's a waiver?
Yeah, I just want to know what a waiver is.
A waiver is when the Housing Authority asks EOHLC for the authority to operate outside of their regulations for some reason. We're asking for a waiver to not abide by some rule or regulation, or we're asking for an exclusion from that. Currently, we have none.
Thank you.
So basically, we'd have to read all the regulations of the EOHLC to determine whether or not, we're asking for a waiver, and we're not prepared to read all those regulations.
Fine.
Especially when it's not feasible.
Next section is attachments. And the following items have been uploaded as attachments to this annual plan. And the attachments are cover sheet for the tenant satisfaction survey, tenant satisfaction survey 667 program, performance management review, and substantive comments from the LTO review meeting on 1/30/2024. And if I remember right, there were no substantive comments from the LTO. And the resident survey That goes back to fall of 2019. We have gone through this survey at previous Board of Commissioners meetings. We know that there were a lot of tenant concerns back in 2019 from the comments that were made at those meetings. Recently, the tenants are no longer concerned with those situations, and any tenant concerns that are brought up recently are being addressed. Am I correct in that?
Yep.
Yes.
Did the new one get posted?
This is Connie Hillman. Do you have any idea when, we did take a recent survey, I'm wondering when, if you know when those results will be in?
We don't. We'll receive them from the state when they become available.
Did you hear that?
No.
We receive them from the state. They hire an independent company
Yeah,
that does those surveys. So
Right.
we wouldn't get that until that comes in from that company.
okay, but we don't have any idea when that might be?
We don't even know when it's being done.
Okay.
They don't tell us.
It was done a couple of months ago.
Yeah, they don't tell us.
Yeah, it's got it in my office.
We only get it when it's compiled. and when it's completed.
So the most recent survey results we have is from 2019
Correct.
regarding hot water service, maintenance, et cetera, et cetera. That's, okay, that's the most recent we have in writing.
All right. And I think, part of the reason that they didn't do a survey is because of COVID.
Yeah, plus they only do every housing authority so many years out. They don't do them every year.
Depends on how you do it, I guess.
The next item in the packet is the MHA Performance Management Review. And again, we've gone through this previously. Are there any comments on that?
There's, on one of the pages, there's a tenant's account receivable. And overall rating is corrective action, operational guidance for the different categories. I'm having a hard time understanding what this is telling me.
Well, if I remember
I can explain it to you.
Go ahead.
So if a tenant has outstanding rent, DHCD wants you to have a rental agreement with them, that they're gonna pay so much back on the outstanding rent that they have. And when they come in to do the audit, they want all of those agreements presented to them. So given the fact that that goes back to when it goes back to, the agreements weren't available for their review when they were here. So there are current agreements with anybody who has outstanding rent.
So are we under operational guidance in any of these categories right now?
No.
No.
I just don't know why it says operational guidance for.
It says that because they want to view the tenant agreements, and they did not view the tenant agreements at that audit.
Which was when?
I don't know, you have the date there.
It was October, I believe.
Yeah, it was in the fall of 23.
So they're running a little behind.
They are.
Well, usually they don't approve your budget until 10 months into the fiscal year that you're already operating in, so I would say that's a little behind. Given the fact that you're operating on a budget that's 10 months old and hasn't been approved yet. Yeah, you could say they're a little behind.
This is years behind on these things.
Well, they don't do them every year, that's the problem. PMRs are not done every year, neither is tenant surveys.
If we're in good standings.
Yeah, if you're in good standings, they do like the PMR every 3 years or something. So it's not, you're not gonna get one every year.
So it's a good thing.
They're trying to spend their time on troubled agencies that have operational issues that we don't currently have.
And I will state again, that this PMR, in my opinion, was fabulous. And I'm very proud of the Quincy Housing Authority for what they have accomplished. And even though we did get even though we did get some findings, they were minor, and we actually had the work done, we just didn't show it to whoever was reviewing. And the other one, we were, I believe, 1 month late in submitting a report, a quarterly report that was supposed to have been submitted. We didn't submit on time.
That was my fault.
So
There are some agencies that don't submit any on time. So, all in all, I think we're in good shape.
Agreed. The last section is the PMR narrative responses, explanation of PMR criteria ratings. Section 5.2, page 1 through 6. And just ask if anybody has any thoughts, comments on that.
542, what is that?
Any other thoughts? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the Marshfield Housing Authority fiscal year 2025 capital improvement plan and to authorize the executive director to submit it to EOHLC for state approval.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Aye.
Commissioner Pasavich?
No,
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Okay, next item is to motion to approve the Marshfield Housing Authority fiscal year 2025 annual plan and to authorize the executive director to submit it to the EOHLC for state approval. Before we do that, may I just modify the motion, because we did make some,
As amended.
so, yeah, subject to the amendments that were made during our meeting. So could we have a recall, a vote on that again,
Okay,
please?
as amended. So, I need first. John?
Yes.
And Helen?
Yes.
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pasavich?
no,
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Then may I have a motion to approve the MHA fiscal year 2025 annual plan and to authorize the executive director to submit it to the EOHLC for state approval.
As amended. As amended.
As amended. Thank you.
Motion.
I'll make that motion.
I will second it.
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pasavich?
no,
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Next item is on the agenda is a review of the MHA bylaws, other housing authority bylaws, and potential vote on the MHA housing authority bylaws. And I'm looking at the time, and I'll ask the commissioners, do you want to take this up this evening, or do you want to postpone it?
For the next meeting?
We table it, I make a motion to table it for the next meeting.
I thought we were gonna table it because of post-election, usually when they do that, things like that.
I was going to second it anyway, yes.
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pasavich?
Yes,
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
And Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Okay. Any, next item on the agenda is old and new business. Anybody else have anything to comment on? Seeing none, the next item is any other business not anticipated by the chairperson 48 hours in advance of the posted meeting. I did send an email out to all of the commissioners, carbon copied Colleen and also James. And I said in the email, I received an email from EOHLC this evening, which was March 28th, and attempted to include this in our board package and agenda for the VOC meeting on Tuesday, April 2nd. But the package for that meeting had already been prepared and will be delivered to you tomorrow, Friday, March 29th. Therefore, I will be introducing a document under the any other business unanticipated by the chairperson 48 hours in advance of the posted meeting. I will make a motion, and here's the motion. Review and vote on amendment number 13 to the contract for financial assistance, parentheses, CFA, under parentheses, 5001, in the amount of $354,479, which extends the contract date to June 30th, 2027. And then I said, unfortunately, the email I received contains a secure link, and therefore I'm not able to share this email with others.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, that is the extension of your capital plan award for 2027. You're voting to accept that award from EOHLC to extend out your capital award to the year 2027.
Okay. And I do have to.
That needs to be signed by the chairman.
I do have to sign this electronically, and I just want to ask if there's, on here it says the current CFA is $3,455,761.70. It's being revised to $3,810,240.70, which is the increase of $354,479. And I've highlighted a couple of things in here. Under the certification of the grant plan, the funds are considered non-discretionary. And it's broken down, that additional amount is broken down into the original contract, the construction contract, and that's where the change of the $354,479 is on that line item. There's no change to the change order contingency, no change to the permit fees, no change to the contract by others, and no change to the other construction costs. So I'll read the motion again. Review and vote on amendment number 13 to the contract for financial assistance, parentheses, CFA, and the parentheses 5001, in the amount of $354,479, which extends that contract date to June 30, 2027. Do I have a second on the motion?
We'll make a second.
Any discussion?
You're the first?
I was the first.
I have no idea what I'm voting on. I have to see that packet. I mean, I'm not going to review it now. So, I mean, if I haven't gotten it, I don't know how can I vote on that?
You just read it.
Doesn't matter. I need to see the packet and study it.
Okay.
Well, I have
so
no
that's
idea
part of
what
Well,
it
no, I
is.
was going to say you could look at it now as well.
No, I'm not going to take up the time of the board and the public to do that.
Okay, so that's part of the discussion. Anybody else have any comments? Seeing no other comments, we'll take a roll call.
Commissioner Delgado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pesavich,
No.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Daly.
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 no. Item number 12, Executive Director's Report.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the new truck has arrived, it's all been lettered, it's in use. We had our pre-construction meeting for the sewer project, they mobilized, they'll be starting next week, and that's here for T-Rock Gardens. Notices will be going out to the tenants, explaining the construction and explaining the interruptions and the areas that they'll be working. We had a delivery of the Greater Boston Food Bank. We hired a new laborer who has joined John Scott Wagner. He's a great addition to the maintenance staff. We had an eviction over at Unit 16, Grace Ryder. Went to court, and we actually got an eviction, and the tenant was evicted by the sheriff, and we took possession of the unit.
May I ask how long the process started from when you wanted?
The tenant's been in eviction for like a year and a half.
A year and a half. Wow. And has the tenant paid the rent in that year and a half?
No. So the unit is in turnover. It was left in deplorable condition, as one would imagine. We worked on starting the mulch beds at Grace Ryder. We got new uniforms for all the staff, which have been delivered. We did some work per the Board of Health on the septic system up at Grace Ryder. We had a blood pressure clinic with the fire department at T-Rock Gardens and Grace Ryder. We had a welcome spring coffee hours with the residents. They did the Easter meals on Saturday, 3:30 for Grace Ryder and T-Rock Gardens, coordinated by St. Christine's and Knights of Columbus. They did Easter meal kits being delivered to the families at T-Rock Gardens. The Tenants Association and the resident service coordinator worked together to make this happen. They had an Easter science activity with the children on Marshfield Housing. Easter baskets were given to each of the younger children. They had a Marshfield Housing RSC participated in mass housing webinar, accessing services for seniors and people with disabilities. We have a walking group starting up in April. They're having a Red Sox opening day event coming up, and they're also planning a day trip down to Plymouth in May. We also have a new tenant brochure, which we've been working on. It's a multi-page document which is going to be distributed to all the residents, telling them about the resources in the town of Marshfield available to them, as well as recommendations from the Housing Authority on different things within the community for new residents that are moving into the Housing Authority and moving into the community. I got an email today, after 2 years of fighting, we finally have been awarded new refrigerators for all the residents. This will be a grant coming to us from Eversource. For clarification, I know questions were asked. These refrigerators will be the property of the Housing Authority once installed. They'll be warranted for 2 years by Eversource. So they'll be under warranty for a 2-year period. And the refrigerators are hopefully being shipped in the near future. And you'll be receiving a notice for the days that they'll be coming around, and they'll be taking all the old refrigerators and they'll be installing the new refrigerators. I know some of the residents want to keep their own refrigerators, and we're going to allow you to do that. And John will be writing a list of all those tenants that will keep their refrigerators. The rest of you will all get new refrigerators.
Can we get a big one?
It's happening now. We're just waiting for a delivery
When
date.
are we going to get the refrigerator?
It's in process. I just got the award today. So you
Could be
get
next
the,
week or 2 weeks, a month?
they'll be scheduling it in the near future. Yeah, you'll be receiving a
Oh,
notice.
that's wonderful.
There's 3 different.
Yeah, I think there's 3 different ones.
And does anybody think they're on that ship that's stuck in Baltimore?
That's how fun.
They're actually a GE model is what I'm reading here.
Well, that's good.
Well, I want to again compliment QHA for getting a resident service coordinator here at Marshfield Housing Authority. And then also congratulate Ellie for what she's accomplished and what she will be doing.
Ellie is doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
I wish I had 5 Ellies. She is wonderful with the residents, and the work that she does is incredible. So, I mean, I truly, we're very, very lucky. We have John is a maintenance guy who is
John is,
off the charts, my best maintenance man that I have.
Yeah.
Out of the whole staff that I have, 100 employees, I would say John is my best maintenance person that I have. And then you have Ellie, who is just incredible.
She's the rock star.
And you got Colleen down here, and you got Tammy, and we have a very, very blessed staff down here.
Yep.
oh, yeah.
And Scott Wagner is fitting in very well, and I think he's gonna be an asset to the authority, so we're very, very fortunate.
Terrific.
So when do you give them a
Lucky to
raise?
have her.
I'll take one.
And just a FYI, in reference to one of the maintenance people who retired, Ernie,
Yeah.
I was in the supermarket the other day, and he came in with his nephew. And his nephew had taken him out to dinner for his birthday. And Ernie was very, very excited. Also happy to be retired. but
Yes, I bet.
Also, missing everyone. And he asked me that at the next board meeting that I give, his thanks to all of you for how you accepted him and worked with him. And just, he really enjoyed being here.
And I don't want to leave out one other element, which is the Towns Association, which we are very, very fortunate to have the involvement of Helen and the involvement of the whole Towns Association, because not every housing authority has an active association like this, and it makes a world of difference for the quality of life for the residents that live here. So hats off to you guys for keeping up on the activities and keeping things going.
So I would like to mention one thing my tenants association. Robin has started our garden.
Nice.
She's
Yes.
working really hard.
Yes.
Nice.
And if I may add, she's also mentioned to me that she's going to be donating some of the seedlings for the garden at Grace Ryder.
Oh, great.
Yes. Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Anything else? Because remember, once we close the meeting,
That's it.
that's it. Yes.
Outside of the buildings that need to be power washed, has anybody addressed that?
I'm sorry, could
Angela
you
Carbone.
state your name, please?
Angela Carboni,
Thank you.
3D Rock Garden. The power washing, the buildings have like drippings of gray.
We have tried to power wash it. It's,
That was tried and it didn't work.
Yes,
didn't work?
it's some sort of a dye that came off of the windows and came off of, we tried everything to get it off.
Oh, okay.
Like the white.
Short of acetone or some sort of a, like a muriatic acid or.
It looks like something dripped,
There,
in streams.
it's
And I guess with the rain.
not gonna be an easy task. But it's on our radar, we're aware of it, we've tried various different things, but it may require a project.
It's on a design element.
Yeah, but I mean, I've wanted it off since we got here, but it doesn't come off.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Diana Harvey. I was just wondering if, yesterday, if that was possibly an April Fool's joke that you were gonna dig up everything, but no, I guess it wasn't.
No, but actually the refrigerators were.
But and I'm sure that it's gonna happen, but, that we'll get information about when they're gonna have to shut the, they're gonna have to shut the water off and stuff.
You're gonna get all kinds of.
Yeah, that's what I thought, okay.
Randy, ask your question.
Rick, did you have,
Frank.
Rick, did you have something else?
No, I was turning my ears so I could hear her.
Raise your hand.
You could have access to like fire department, the senior citizen shuttle and
Nope.
Where the health aid's gonna park, I mean. We are gonna try to maintain access. I mean, there's no question we're gonna rip the whole place up. So, we're going to maintain access. We're gonna do the best we can to shuffle the parking, and you're gonna get notices that are gonna.
But the most important one is
Yep.
ambulance and fire department.
Yep.
Make sure they can get in.
We're aware.
They'll drive right
And we'll
through
still be able
anything.
to breathe and live, even if we drive on the grass by accident.
By accident?
I'll refer that to Mr. Kevin.
So you're gonna try to maintain that?
Yes, we are.
This contractor has done many projects like this. They're Speakman Excavating is the name of the contractor. They're out of Dennis.
They come highly recommended.
Yeah.
They've worked in a number of housing authorities.
We did have
You do a
pre-construction.
project like this, they dig half the road, fill it back in, and then do the other half.
Of course, yeah, I mean, they're not just gonna come in and dig the whole place out and leave it all.
Well, some people think that.
Yeah, they're gonna do it in areas. They're gonna finish those areas, and they're gonna move on to different areas. It'll be very, very well
Did you-
planned out.
Yeah.
They got cash yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did everybody receive the notice?
Yes.
You did, okay. On there are two phone numbers, mine
Yeah.
and John Kevin's.
Yep.
So Let us know if there are problems. Because we'll be right on it with the contractor, and we had a pre-construction meeting, and they're gonna do whatever it takes to keep you guys functional in here.
We
Okay?
heard that the circle's
Moving.
first,
All right, and safe.
and we're all gonna move
Okay.
out back.
So
That's cool.
if something's wrong and we don't know, we can't do anything about it. So let us know.
Right.
Okay.
Some of these trees are gonna go, are they gonna replace them?
Flowering cherries.
I think some of the trees are gonna go.
Just a couple.
I don't think they have a replacement on there for those couple
It's out
of
by the
trees.
tank.
Yeah.
That's what
You're gonna hook
John
up
wants.
out on Acorn Street there?
I think you're gonna get a plan showing the whole project.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be out on the main road?
Well, it's not
And then we
detailed.
have shows us going up to the leaching field.
Yeah.
No, nothing's going up that, right?
That's going up to the leaching, that's not, you're gonna hook up to the town, right?
That's correct.
So how are you gonna hook up to the town?
There's a tap already on the property.
The main is already brought on to the property.
When they did make it.
The town sewer already goes by our driveway.
And there's already a main tap coming on.
Yep.
I think it ends at the main.
Yes.
Connie
It's
Hillman.
Randy.
The preliminary plan that we got, I thought was very well done.
Yeah.
And I know it's subject to change and as things come up, but it was very well planned and communicated to us about what the plan was.
Good.
Except all those little tiny things they call pink.
Anything else?
So does that mean when the leaching field is no longer, we have all that area up there to put in storage bins or something?
No.
Storage bin.
No, no, no. We're gonna put
Just
it,
thinking ahead.
no, we're gonna put in horseshoes
So
in
these
the back,
There has been a motion to adjourn.
right? Yeah.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Commissioner Dunsmore.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunsmore. Commissioner Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Daley.
Yes.
Thank you.
Paul Crawford.
All right, folks, everyone.
Paul wants me to put the cushions in there.
Oh, did you? Glad you showed me. Take care, you guys. Take care.
Bye, James. I have to drive back to so I'll go home tonight, call it fast, for an hour. She's, got issues with Yes, I know.